Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Amendments to the agenda.
I'd like to add an executive session for personnel.
Second. Thank you. Any other? All those in favor?
Aye.
Executive session. Okay, approval of the minutes of January 14th first.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Additions, deletions, corrections. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. And January 16th. Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting with Fairhaven students bike project. 7:03. You folks are on.
Okay, so tonight we have Graciana, who's a 6th grade student at the grade school, and she is here presenting a proposal to get a community bike rental program similar to the programs that are currently in Castleton and Pulteney. This project is something that she worked on with a couple of other students who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Over the course of 12 weeks, the whole 6th grade did a community inquiry project where they isolated different issues that they believe are problems in the community of Fairhaven and developed solutions or proposed solutions. This group was able to take their idea for a solution and reach out to community members and sponsors to really get to the point where they're about ready to implement the program here in the Fairhaven community in the spring. And so Graciana is going to kind of take you through the process that they went through developing this project and then propose our next steps. And we don't really need a ton from the board tonight other than just having your participation and feedback. All right. And I'm going to sit on the floor and change the slides.
Good evening. So, do you want the lights off? I'm a 6th grade student, like Miss Mom said, and here is our proposal. Our social studies inquiry project. The steps we took. Step 1, we identified a problem in our community and we chose transportation. Step 2, not everyone has a car and they may need to get to places the bus doesn't go. Step 3, we thought of the idea to have bikes in our town that anyone can borrow. Step 4, spoke with Timothy at Johnson & Sons Bike Works, who agreed to donate bikes for the program and teach students bike maintenance. Step 5, spoke with Sarah Ryan at Rutland Regional Medical Center about bike helmet donations. She provided us a donation request form to complete for the helmets. Step 6, we spoke with nearby libraries who are facilitating a bike rental program about their experience. Bicycle donation. Johnson & Sons Bike Shop is willing to donate 6 bikes to us. He has committed to donating both child and adult sized bikes. Helmet donation. We contacted Rutland Health Foundation, a part of the Rutland Regional Medical Center, about getting helmets for the riders. We are going to supply and require helmets for all the riders. We want everyone to stay safe and have a good time while riding. Bike maintenance. If bikes are damaged, Fairhaven grade school students will take the responsibility for repairs. Tim from Johnson & Sons has offered to teach a class on bike repair for any students from our school that would want to do that. Fairham's grade school currently participates in Lifetime Activities program, where students spend 6 weeks learning about different hobbies. Bike repair could become a lifetime activity in future years. Bike rental procedure. Before taking the bike, you will need to sign out and sign a waiver. We've included a sample waiver in your packet. This will enable us to track the bikes and make sure they are returned. And there's also a sign-out sheet we made on this. So this is what we are gonna have so people can sign out the bikes and use them. Bike colors. We are going to paint our bikes a specific vibrant color so that people in the community know the bike is a part of our program and can help make sure they are returned. This idea came from the programs in Castleton and Pulteney that we communicated with. Advertising. To advertise for the bike rental program, we are going to make posters. We can put them around our community in places such as the town office, post office, schools, library, and churches. Our logo is on the first page of your pamphlet. Next steps. Number 1, confirm hosting sites for the bikes in February. Submit application for helmet donations, February. Create contact for use, March. Acquire bicycles and basic bike maintenance knowledge, April. Paint bicycles, April. Launch program, May, and monitor for success, summer.
Very good.
Thank you.
Very concise.
Are there any questions from the board?
You got by yourself. That was good. Just one question. I see even the helmets for safety. There's a little bit more as well, and you're going to do some training for maintenance on just general bike safety. You know, like when crossing, I think we have railroad tracks and different things here. Your group may want to think, or you already thought about, even a little more before they start going out about validating that they know how to safely cross an intersection and that kind of stuff. But I mean, it's spot on, good stuff.
Thank you.
Do you have a place where you're gonna store the bikes?
That's why we're here, one of the reasons. We have had trouble. We've communicated, the team talked about having bikes at different ends of the town, because if you live down towards the New York border, it would be hard to get to the center of town to get a bike. And so we talked to the innkeeper, the Maplewood Inn, and their nature of their business, it's not a good fit to have bike rentals out of there. We've talked a little bit with the library, and they had concerns about space and storage. Where else did we talk to?
Well, I think we're going to talk to the Legion, because that's also on that side, and I think they will probably let us keep them there.
Castleton and Pulteney both rent them out through the library. We also thought, Graciana suggested maybe the town offices would like to have a couple of bikes here in the house, since you're staffed full time.
There is a garage at the high school out back. That's quite large. I mean, you might be able to store some bikes up there also.
Okay.
I think your program's very good. I think you
Thank
did a
you.
very good job telling us what was going on. How many bikes do you think that you'll have once the program gets going?
To start, Tim from Johnson & Sons is gonna donate 6.
6 bikes?
And then I think if we need more, like if they're being signed out a lot and people are using them a lot, maybe we can talk to him about getting some more.
And one other suggestion that might help you, Memorial Day Parade, get 6 people to ride your bikes with
Yeah.
advertisement on them.
Oh, that's a good
You
idea.
know,
That's
that
a
might
great
give
idea.
Give everybody the
We
idea
have to get them
on what you're
painted
doing in the
Yeah.
community.
Yeah, good idea.
Very good job.
Thank you.
I think Joe could find you a spot.
Hmm?
I think
Yeah.
we could
Well,
find a spot
it's
here.
through our, even our rec, do we have a store through our recreation committee or something?
Yeah.
There Seems like
Appreciate
it.
great.
We can find space.
If you do the Legion here in high school,
Yeah.
it kind of spreads it out across the town.
Shaw's too.
Another resource you might want to consider, there's a group, I don't know the name, Mike Morris rides with a group that rides bicycles, and they were here a
Yeah.
while ago
Yeah.
asking about bike paths through Fairhaven. Just a group that as you're going, you might want to touch base with them, because they could help you with bike safety, they could help you with trails and all that other stuff, and it's always good to get free help for
Absolutely.
things. But excellent, you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I hope they give you an A on your project.
And I do want to say that this is the project that came the furthest in the trimester that we worked on it. But we have students who reached out and spoke with the Department of Public Works about trash on the sides of roads, and could we find ways to do some green upping, and everyone that they spoke to in the community was really receptive. They're looking at, the one group looked at affordable housing and discovered that the houses in Fairhaven are really affordable, but if you are living in Fairhaven and don't have a car because you're in a cycle of poverty, and maybe your only access to a job in this community is maybe a minimum wage job and not necessarily a livable wage job, then it makes housing difficult. So we have tons of other ideas that we're going to pursue in the future to work towards community improvement as well, but this group really got off the ground running and got things together quickly so we could present tonight.
I'd like to make one other observation. You're the fourth standard, fourth generation of standards I've seen speak at a select board meeting.
He dated himself with that. All right.
You beat your
Thank
brother on that one.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
No, yeah, we're done with it.
How many years do you have to be on the board to see 4 generations?
Yeah, well, that's another thing.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Probably that's a reason for term limits alone. Nice job.
Oh, if you want to hold on to it, you can. Is there anyone who would like to keep a copy?
Maybe we should keep one copy.
Okay.
You've
Joe
got,
can keep.
Yeah, Joe.
Okay.
I'll bring this one back
Never
down.
Never mind. Okay, you can have this one, and Claire's gonna,
I'll bring mine back after I
let me borrow hers.
study it.
Want to keep one? That would be great.
Well done, Mrs. Moffett.
Well, thank you.
Those are
How
very
did
good
that
questions.
about Gracie's idea?
They put time into it.
Can we attach that into the minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a copy.
Of this? Well,
You can just keep, I made 10 because,
right, but
do you
we'll
want-
attach one to the minutes.
okay.
Can everybody, people read them, everybody see it.
Perfect.
Is this on the website? Excuse me.
no, you're good.
It's power.
Oh,
I was gonna ask one more time. Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so
That's brutal.
thank you again. We're going to move on.
If we see a yellow bike with a nice looking person on it, we'll work.
all right. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll see you tomorrow, Miss
Thank
Gracie.
you, everybody.
Wayne Elliott. Yep. Open forum.
Open forum. Hard act to follow. But kids at that age are a lot better at those presentations than we are, man. They can turn that stuff
Grasp
out.
things a lot easier.
It's like a second
Wait,
nature.
there's one other thing.
Yeah.
She said the thing for tonight, so that's all the time you've got.
Okay, I'm here on the wastewater treatment facility project, and just a brief update. You know, we've been working on things here the last couple, 3 months. Primarily, we got the field survey done, existing conditions. We're working on the basis for final design. We've got a couple days of the surface investigation completed. So this is really the next step in the project, and 2 parts here tonight. One of them is the state planning loan application, which is the request for the final design fees. And then the next part of that is the actual engineering amendment for the services. So, so the first part of it is the planning loan application. Been working with Joe to fill this out. And did you guys get this in your packet, or get the 2 originals? So this is all pretty boilerplate information. So the request here is for $291,700. This is all in the original budget and the preliminary engineering study. That includes the engineering, which is to get you now all the way through final design, so you got full contract documents and all the permits. That does also include a $5,000 allowance as part of what we're doing. The town's going to hire this consultant directly, but we have to do lead paint inspection, asbestos, and now we have to do PCBs, so that's going to be primarily at the original control building. So the application, you know, it's a request for funds, and just to remember, a reminder about that, so the town qualifies for up to $100,000 in loan subsidy. So at least $100,000 of this you won't pay back, and we factored that into the funding picture. Just includes the dates of the this piece of work, which is going to take us through December of this year. Includes a bunch of information in the application on your existing sewer budget, you know, debt, payments, expenses, if you have any surplus reserves. And then the rest of this is really just questions specific to town financial information that the bond bank's looking for. You know, who receives the checks, who makes the payments, all that kind of stuff. And then the back end of this application for approval, the last page does require signature approval by the select board, signature of the clerk, and also the authorized representative, which is Joe. So
The money's for what we're gonna start right away.
Yep.
That's already here, so it's not gonna come out of our town budget.
Absolutely
We always
not,
had,
yep.
this is already set up,
That's correct, yep.
so it's
Yep.
automatically coming out of the bond.
Yeah, so that's all in the bond authorization. And the way this planning loan works is that you guys, like you are now, is as you expend, we send you an invoice at the end of every month. You're gonna pay that, you're gonna submit to the state and get reimbursed for that. So you're gonna get reimbursed for the sewer, so that absolutely does not come out of your sewer budget, Jay. And then ultimately, as we get, you know, continue through the project, you know, later this year, we'll do a construction loan application. This all gets rolled up into that, so you only have one one construction loan moving forward. The next piece of that is the engineering services agreement. This is an amendment because we already have the engineering agreement in place. And basically what we have to do, we're required to do with this, is we send this document, and because this is USDA funded, you guys are waiting for a USDA funding offer. That's still going to take another few weeks, but we send this to the state and USDA. They review the scope of work and make sure it's appropriate for your project. They also review the hours, the engineering fees, and all that stuff, making sure it's appropriate for this project. So both USDA and the state has approved this amendment number 1, which is the engineering services agreement. And, you know, one thing I want to emphasize, you know, it's clearly is a lot of money, but one of the things as we go through, you know, this isn't just a couple engineers working on this over the next 10 or 12 months. It's a team of about, 10 to 12 different people. I mean, there's half a dozen guys in my office working on this, everything from doing survey, CAD, 2 or 3 engineers. Got people working on permitting. It also includes an architect because we've got a lot of building related work out there. Includes our structural engineer that's going to do the design for the new aeration tanks and the other building additions. It includes a mechanical engineer that's going to deal with all the ventilation, heating, plumbing upgrades in the structures. It includes an electrical engineer that's doing all the power, lighting, And in the end of it, you're gonna get a SCADA PLC control, so it also includes all the control designs. So when you get to this drawing set, it's gonna be, 100 and some odd sheet. It's gonna be a pretty thick set of documents, but it's all gonna be ready at that point for getting the permits and getting you ready to go out to bid for, early in 2021, so.
So this whole year here, basically, getting everything in place.
That's right, yep.
And when the bid goes, construction can start in 21.
That's correct, that's right, yep. And one thing I did want to mention, so as far as the fee that we're proposing, we're actually about $12,000 on our original budget. And I actually would have been less than that, probably another $12,000. We're actually going to need to do a little bit more geotechnical subsurface investigation out there. There are some clays down to a depth of about 15 feet. You have a layer of Virgin's clay that runs from the river back in easterly direction. So we're going to do another boring. I actually brought a geotechnical engineer. Doesn't appear that we have any major concerns, but I just want to make sure we look at that thoroughly as we move forward, and especially it's the design of the aeration tanks because of the depth. So that added a little bit of another $10,000 in here. So if it wasn't for that addition, we would have probably been about $22,000 to $24,000 under the budget. And the only reason to kind of point that out is we're not trying to. We carried a number in the total project costs, and we work it from the bottom up, and figure out what we need for drawings, and we come in under. That's fine. At least it gives you a little more flexibility moving forward. So. Okay.
What's the clay? Is it just foundation work, or is there leaching, or what's the problem with the clay?
Concern, well, it's consolidation, Bob. So basically, once you get down to about 15 feet, the clay layer continues down. We went down 50 feet and we're still in the clay. And basically what you're concerned about is settlement over time. And what's interesting, I've been involved in this quite a bit over the years, and I just wanted to make sure we have our bases covered there, because I've on projects we've had to do steel piles and down a refusal, and that's not the case here. But what happens is that we figured out the weight of the new concrete tanks and the water in there, and that happens to be lighter than the existing soil that's there. So what we're not doing is we're not adding more weight by excavating that hole and building the new tanks, but that's a concern. So if we were building something there that's going to be heavier on a square foot basis, you're just concerned about, settlement over time, and that's not a 2 or 3 year, it's a 30, 40, 50 year kind of thing. So we just want to make sure we're doing enough due diligence. We may have to thicken up the slab and a few things like that, but we just want to make sure we've investigated that appropriately and looked at it. So.
The water wells in that area are typically 80, 90 feet casing.
Yeah. We went down, yeah, so. Yep. Okay. So tonight, the two things for consideration is the planning loan application. Joe's got 2 copies of those, and that does need to be signed by the board if acceptable, and the clerk and Joe as the authorized representative. And then also, if you're okay with that authorizing, I guess that's up to you guys who would sign the engineering services amendment. That could be Joe, or that could be you, Bob, as the chair. That's up to you guys, so.
Yeah, I would recommend Joe.
Yeah.
You have a
If
formal,
if the board would like me to sign the amendment, the engineering amendment, then I would need a vote to.
Motion, just have our town manager or another sign the engineering amendment.
That's like being the clerk of the works.
Yep. No, this is the final design piece.
Final design,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
Second.
Contract documents, yep.
any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Now that just gets you to be the.
I'm just signing it. Yeah.
Do we have to make motions to assign the individual?
Oh, wait, I have one, the state revolving loan program, the funding application that the board should vote and then everybody signs.
Motion to sign that application.
Second.
Okay.
What's it called?
It's called the State Revolving Loan Program for Water Infrastructure.
Comfortable with that?
Yep, that's fine.
Second? You're a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
And everybody signs that, right?
Yes.
I see there's 2 places to sign. Is everyone signing?
Just on the last page. Yep. Yep, where it's tabbed, yep.
Got it. And
There's 2 last pages. There's 2 copies of that.
Is there an extra one?
And the other one, we'll make sure. Yes, there's 2 of them. They probably
Well,
just,
there's 2 copies there, yep, yep.
so you left 2 copies with.
Yeah, but that's fine. If you just don't want to do one, we can take it and scan it
Let's
in.
sign them both.
Yeah.
The last 2.
It's easy to sign.
is that for the 291
That's
copies?
correct, yeah, yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Just for ceremony, we'll sign each letter with a different
And,
pen.
that's right. And then,
But then you sell.
and give the pen.
Yeah.
But then you sell.
Do away with it.
You think Wayne would bring some pens with their names on them?
I could.
Yeah.
What would you like? Need gold plated. I'll have to ask for the impeachment pens.
For a mere 12,000 extra.
See
You
if
can
that-
do
Yeah,
that.
it'll just, yeah, that'll be just like,
Jay, when you break
Is that gonna
that,
cost us a
you
burden,
get
Jay?
the gold shovel.
right, yeah.
Great thing.
We'll get
Is there one more?
We can do that, Jay. Just
I
let
do
Joe
have
know
one.
what your preference
I do
is,
have one
so.
You have one more?
Did you say there was 2 places?
Yeah, it's the same, it's just, it's another copy of that.
Nice.
It's amazing how little paper we use. I mean, I take those back now, scan them in. The state doesn't even want paper copies of any of this stuff anymore. It's all electronic.
That's not my wife,
And this one is.
I got one more from the Vermont Bond Bank. I marked it, so Bob signs in certain spots, and then if it says all sign, everybody signs. This is the disbursement page, which is just for Bob, and then the contract is on the back for $81,000 to begin the project.
So do you need a motion?
I need a motion. Yes.
Yeah, we're spending money.
I'll make the motion that we sign the disbursement for the bond.
Sure.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So that Suzanne sign those tomorrow probably. And then you can sign them and you can mail it to me, Joe, whatever works for you, so.
Want me to scan you a copy too, or?
Whatever works for you. Yeah, scan the signature sheet, whatever works for you, whatever's easier. And then you got the amendment, same thing on that. You can,
Bob signs it.
all right.
Could ask for it,
I didn't see it. Are we on the work? Are we on the work?
could ask why you're interested in the pay.
I don't know. No, I'm getting out of here.
They're getting under Go ahead.
Well, I think I'm not sure.
After tonight, I'll be putting a schedule together, get that to Joe, we'll do a Gantt, and welcome to share that with you guys. We got plenty of time, and there's no reason, we can't be done this and ready to go out to bid here, towards the end of the year here.
So I think we got lucky because the bond vote went through so quickly for us, and we got kind of a head start on this.
Yeah, absolutely, yep, because if you're just doing it in March and passing it, it gets a little bit tougher to,
Yeah,
yep,
we'd have been 6 months behind.
Yes.
yep, it'll be a great time to go out to bid. Okay. Anybody, any other questions, or?
Sounds like we're right
Great,
on
thank you.
schedule.
How many companies do you think there are that are capable of doing that right in our area?
We did Ludlow, went out to bid. We got 4. One thing that's interesting, Penna's a big player. Naylor and Breen's getting into the work, which is great. We worked with them on a couple projects. They're doing Ludlow. It's going in great. That came in under bid, and I think they just started doing some work at the Rutland wastewater plant. So it's good to see somebody local. They're good to work with. Probably get, some of this size, you'll probably get 4 or 5 bids, John. So, good time to go out, so. Good, thank you.
You did a good job. 15 minutes.
Right on
There was
time.
a lot of pressure on that.
He listens well.
I thought you
was a little bit over.
I thought you started at 6:30, Jake. I don't know why.
Well, we've been waiting on now, Jake.
Oh, that's why you got here so early.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
didn't tell him the right time?
I guess not.
I'll sign there. And you got stickies. That's all we have to do, just two pages. Yeah.
Good night.
Everybody safe at home.
Safe trip home. You gotta go all the way back up tonight, or?
Oh, yeah. Let me see this. This is only the start of my week.
Yeah.
All set? All right. Moving right along.
South Burlington. He just moved.
Oh, we're on time. Wonders never cease.
Right on schedule.
We are talking about War Memorial. You're on.
Hey, good evening, guys. My name is Emily Stockwell. I'm here tonight to ask you guys' permission to put 2 new war memorials in our little park over here. I have Terran Brothers donating the slate that will match as close as we can match to the slate we have already. I have Brokers Memorial out of West Rutland going to place the monuments and do the bronze plaquing for us. It's going to cost roughly $9,000 to do the bronze plaquing, and we are hoping to raise and get donations and fundraisers for that. So more or less, I just need your guys' blessings for it.
Motion to let the Legion move.
It's not the Legion.
Well, it's not the Legion, what is it, Derek?
It's a group. My team, I put a team together of auxiliary, Legion, and people from the community to work on
So the
this.
motion would be to just put 2 new memorials in the park.
Yes.
No concern about room, that there's plenty of room.
There's
to-
plenty of room. I did bring some pictures to show you of how I would like to have it set. That would be my luck.
We'll get a second so you answer the question.
Second.
So here's the looking in on the memorial. And I would like to place one on either side of the existing floor.
Okay.
Okay,
What are these for?
I want to do from Vietnam, after Vietnam to present day.
Okay. Just, I just want some, so it's in
In the
what
middle.
we're doing, you know, I mean, it's just.
Oh, yeah,
so we
yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. And I'm going to try to mimic as much as possible of what we already have down there.
At first, it sounded like we were just gonna put 2.
Yes, I'm
Stone.
sorry.
That's perfect.
This is like what you're gonna have on the stone.
Right.
You can get it
Yes.
pretty close.
Get as close as we can.
Good idea.
And my timeline is hopefully to have it done for Memorial 2021. That's my plan.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
very good.
So there's a motion on the floor to allow that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. I think you had that
Good
one.
job, Legion Auxiliary.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks for the work.
We're just moving right along today.
Let us know how we can help.
Oh, absolutely.
Let us know how Sam can help.
Okay. I guess you got nominated. I'll come see you.
Okay, just pull that check, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, 5 minutes for public discussion, comment.
Hello. All right. I'm really here tonight because I want to talk about Bigelow Road and the issues that we've been having with not getting it plowed or sanded without neighbors making phone calls to get it done, or after cars have driven off the road, after accidents have been happening. I know I've been talking to Bob and I've been talking to you, Joe. And I just thought if I just came tonight, and Sam, is that Sam here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so it'll be, good to hear from Sam too as to what's happening. My understanding is that they're turning around at the Waterhouse's driveway and not continuing through, so everything gets plowed up to where the pavement ends, and then nothing's happening after that. I know Sunday was a really bad day, but a car went off the road at 11 o'clock, and then when they got the call is when they came out to sand it, and that was after there were 2 vehicles off the road. My biggest concern, and Bob and I have discussed this already, and I realize, Bob, that nothing can really happen until springtime. With the road the way it is, and they took out the trees, and obviously, the road has to be planed like this to get the water draining off, but it's a narrow road, and there's nothing stopping those cars. I don't know if anyone here saw the red, I sent Bob pictures, and I have pictures, but the red car, the truck that went off the road, that could have been a tragedy, because of how steep it was where he went down. And this has been something that I've been discussing and, talking about, voicing my opinion on this for a few months here. And I'm concerned about safety because I have neighbors. I have one who has diabetes, and you'll have to pull him out of the ditch. And had nobody been around, could he make it back up his driveway? Is there anybody home in the neighborhood? I don't know. He doesn't walk very well. What if it was really one of those deep freezes where it was super, super below zero cold out and people have to walk? Their houses aren't exactly close to the road, some people. So this has become a safety issue, and I've been told that the road has been sanded, but in one of those pictures you can clearly see the road has not been sanded. And where it was sanded, that was where the red truck went off, that was sanded after the fact. That was sanded after he had gone off too. So you can see the before and after pictures on both of those.
Somebody else talk.
So I have at least 3 neighbors that I know of that are really upset about this. And I said I would be the spokesperson because they can't all make it tonight. But I know of 1, 2, 3, 4. I know of at least 5, and then the red truck, I don't know who he is, 6 people that have actually, I think, Jeff, you've gone off the road at least once, who have gone off, right, so I realize the road is a problem, and I'm curious to know what's gonna happen. Now that the trees are gone on where the really steep parts are we gonna be putting guardrails in there? The road is already, now that we dug out the sides, the road is already now caving in because there's nothing holding it back anymore, because we dug out to put rock in, but we didn't fill the rock up high enough for the road to hold on to anything. So the road is caving. So there's a part actually where you turn up Bigelow from 22 on the right-hand side, and if there is snow covering that spot and somebody pushes over for someone coming down the road, they're gonna go right into that hole that's already starting and go down into the edge, right off the road. So the road is literally falling apart. I know that Suzanne and Larry Wayne's driveway, culverts were put in their driveway. The culvert it is so short that to make a turn to get into their driveway is absolutely absurd. I don't know why it's short. I don't know if it's going to be fixed. I hope it is fixed. I can't turn into their driveway, and I know this is something that's a big concern of theirs, and I believe they've made comments about that. So I'm just being a spokesperson tonight. Yeah.
Just ask a question.
What?
Why is the road not being maintained?
Yeah, what? Yeah. So I guess I'm curious.
Why are the plow trucks turning around at Waterhouses instead of coming right on down through Bigelow Hill?
We had one day this year that I know of, which was 2 storms ago, that it was taken care of. And Neil came in and told Joe
You said
this
you were
was
going
great.
to look at the road, did you?
I have seen the road, yes.
Yeah,
Did you go that day?
Not that day, no.
So that, as I told you, I said, don't stop halfway up that hill, because you've been all done.
I thought it was just the one time that they didn't plow over.
Oh, no, they don't plow on them down
I
there.
haven't been able to plow. I can't plow mud. was soft. If you look where we come off the blacktop, up on water, by the, where we turn around, it actually took a foot of the dirt out. Because it was that soft.
That's back when it was thawed, but now it's frozen.
Right.
It still isn't frozen. That's what I don't.
It seems pretty
The
frozen.
dirt roads are still soft.
I mean,
If,
can't you keep the plow raised up a little bit so you're not hitting it so hard? Even with the 1 ton instead of, you know, the great big plow truck, can't the 1 ton come up there on the dirt road?
well, I've tried that, and that just keeps jumping. Because it
Just keeps doing this.
I have a suggestion for you. You could go see the road commissioner in the town of West Haven. You could go see the road commissioner in the town of Benson, because probably at least 50% of their roads, if not more, are dirt, and they're all taken care of.
Yeah, that was the day I sent Neil out. He had gone to Benson to pick up a load of hay for us.
Yep.
And
I went up to stage.
and he wasn't even sure he was gonna
All
get out of
dirt.
our road. But West Haven roads, he had no problems. They were plowed. Ours wasn't touched. They were plowed.
Yeah.
Benson was plowed. All those roads were plowed. They're dirt roads. I understand the thought. I get that. And we did have a couple times, and I granted that is true what Sam says. There have been days when it has been really soft and too muddy. But there have also been some deep freezes, and if the other towns are plowing, or if the other dirt roads in our town are being plowed, why isn't Bigelow being plowed?
Well, that's the question. Are the other dirt roads being
The other
plowed?
dirt roads ain't being plowed either.
This is not
It's not-
particular to
I'm
Bigelow
just
Hill.
not plowing Bigelow.
This is not particular to Bigelow Hill.
Okay?
Inman Pond's not getting plowed. Any of these little side roads are not getting plowed.
You
Inman
out
was
plowing
being-
down past
we went
Howard's,
down
down
Inman
through the
Pond
Terrans
Road.
and stuff,
Nope.
and nobody's saying anything about it.
We went down
I've
Inman
got-
Pond
I've
Road.
got
That was-
one
that-
complaint up there.
They're
Howard's.
plowed up
Well,
to
maybe they
the
don't have
water
any
plant.
tails.
But
Well,
when
I went out
when
at-
we go up there and put 6 or 7 yards of sand on Bigelow and Inman Pond.
I have a
And
hard
then-
time believing
Then
that.
I get a phone call saying that we haven't been there.
Is it washing
So-
off or?
No. I don't know. I mean,
Bob, you have a picture
And then-
that clearly
and then-
shows there's no sand.
and then half hour later, she calls Joe and says, oh, yeah, they have been here. It just wasn't spread out enough. I really don't know what else I can do.
The, you know, I know this is public record, but I think I'm gonna say this. The word with the neighbors, and some of them are afraid to actually come tonight, and I've talked to you about this, Bob, because they're afraid of retaliation. They're afraid that if they complain, it's not gonna happen. And so they feel like they complained in the beginning of the year, and now it's not happening.
That's not-
We've lived there for
that's-
6 years.
No,
We
that's-
have not had a
that's-
problem
that's
before
not
this
gonna be
year.
a
Not even a question of retaliation, I mean,
How are we gonna retaliate?
that's right. I mean, we're
It's
gonna
not
go-
getting done.
We're gonna go up and take care of the road the best we can. I mean, it's, if the roads I see and hasn't been sanded, well, then we gotta start hitting the road more with sand. Even if we gotta go up there 2 or 3 times, whatever we have to do. Throw a set of chains in the trucks and go up and put the sand. You can't plow it. There's no way, you're going to do more damage plowing right now. Yeah, there's frost, maybe that deep. But when you go put the weight of the truck and the weight of the plow, it goes through that frost real quick and rolls it.
May I ask a question?
And then, but if we can go up there and keep the sand on it, I mean, if you get a lot of snow, then you're gonna have to go do something as far as, you know. But with these little bit of storms we've had, we're better out to try to put the sand to it and do the best we can do with sand.
You're talking 6 or 7 yards, Jay.
I understand.
That's a lot of sand.
I understand, but I mean, we also gotta be concerned about the safety of the
I
people
don't-
that are up there.
We gotta be committed to keep it
Right,
going.
I mean, we gotta make sure that nobody gets hurt,
Road has to be open, that's true.
and if we have to go buy more sand, then we have to do it. We just have, whatever we have to do. But I have to agree with Sam as far as the plowing, because, I've plowed snow for a long time, and Brian, I know you've seen a lot of damage in roads.
Yeah, plowing like.
And, so I think right now, the main thing is to keep it sanded, if you get a lot of snow, well, then we have to go and do something different. I don't know if we can go up and
The
keep the
only-
grader blade up.
The only other thing I can do is put some chains on the grader.
That's what I was just gonna suggest, and go up and just
plow
open it
with
up.
that, and
Just skim it.
The other thing, I don't think it's
Can you just leave
beyond
that
realm
part
of
of the
possibility.
micro's plugged in, or?
And to Neil's
I mean,
point,
I can get you a spot.
Neil's point about talking to the commissioners and just see if they got tricks that. we haven't
I
heard
don't know
about.
whether,
Drive up there every time.
I mean, I could maybe lower the shoes, let it ride on the shoes.
So it's up, and then you still bring
But
the,
then every other road I go on, I'm gonna be leaving that much
Yeah.
Snow on it.
snow. So I think the best thing is to buy some chains for the grader and
go up there
leave the
with
grader
that,
up there and just
plow it off, sand it. and
Leave
keep
it right at the
nice.
farm.
Kenny?
We could leave it there.
I could do, off the water plant too,
Yeah.
that way.
There was the question you had about, is there a plan for guardrails? Is there a plan, since we've gone up and down?
There is.
I thought I heard
Yeah.
earlier that we were gonna do some guardrails up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Not ready.
So I've heard a number of neighbors that are concerned about the guardrails, just to throw that out
Oh,
before you
no, that's the
fill
thing.
the room with
right.
the other side of that.
Because
But they don't want guardrails?
Yeah, I
They're
suggest
worried they're gonna
that,
just total
Who
their
does-
car on the way down.
yeah.
Okay, so like I had a gathering
It's the same
on
people.
Sunday, really, and they were all for guardrails.
Damn if you do, damn.
Yeah.
We're not gonna please, we're not gonna please everybody. You had
suggestion-
something
Right.
else you wanted to say? that-
Spring-
No,
Springtime, if you
actually,
have
no,
stuff.
they,
Sorry.
yeah, they covered it, yeah,
You
thank
go put
you.
guardrails up. It's gonna
Can
keep
I
the
get
cars
this
in the
now?
road.
Yeah,
I'd rather see a car hit a guardrail and stay in the road.
that's what they
than
made
go over the
insurance
bank.
for. Yeah.
Especially on that steep side.
Right,
Yeah,
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
they were saying down those,
yeah, just on
the
the,
new ditches, down the first hill.
yeah, and, yeah, Sam, were you guys gonna fill in more on those ditches?
That's right up to the state specs, so,
It is,
and that's before my time. That was the
Yeah.
year before I got here, so.
is there a way to look into that again and see if we can, because before those ditches were dug, the road stayed together, it wasn't falling apart, and it wasn't as much an issue because there wasn't as much of a chance for people to go off the road
Yeah.
as there is
I mean,
now.
I could fill the ditches up with some more stone. In places.
Yeah,
I say we look at guardrails.
He's got
We need
the,
I already got
he's
it.
got
We
the
need,
stuff for the
if we
guy.
need guardrails,
You
put
got the
them in.
Already got it.
guardrails?
And, like I said, I'd rather see a car hit a guardrail and stay in the road.
Definitely.
And that
Definitely.
way you're not over the bank, you're not,
Yep.
so you jam up the fender, you jam up the door, big deal. Somebody's still sitting in the middle of the road.
Right.
So I think in the springtime, there's nothing we do about guardrails now, there's no
Right.
question about that.
right,
But I think in the springtime, we should look at a project
Yeah.
and go up there and get them taken care of. Then next year, we won't have that.
That's correct.
Maybe
So-
we'll have a real
In the
winter.
meantime, I mean, maybe we ought to look at getting a set of chains for the grader,
Yeah.
in case
I
we
mean,
get,
that's the only thing I can do. 'Cause-
Well, that
because
would break
my
up
feeling is
the
we're
ice
gonna
field.
get, my feeling is we're gonna get hammered in March and April, so.
I know, I was thinking
Yeah.
that
Okay, for
too.
this one, yeah.
And it's still gonna be that same.
Where-
Do you
background.
think one set of chain for each, one set of tandems would be enough, or do you need, would you want all four? Four would be
I'd
better.
rather have four.
And I think you should look
I've come down backwards with those things and this.
could you look into getting a price and some great tires, change for that, and let us know our next meeting? Or let Joe know ahead of time?
$900 per set.
Set of four,
Yeah.
two,
Yeah, I mean,
1,800,
They'll take care of the whole grader, $900, right?
No, that's.
18.
Per axle,
That's.
per axle,
yeah, 1, 2, so $1,800.
1,800.
You're gonna tear up the pavement on the way in and out of there.
They'll never bother. I don't think, you don't go 100 miles an hour with it, so it's not like it's no different than a tractor,
No, it
the
doesn't
farm
seem to
tractor
bother.
type with chains on it.
Well, farmers get away with that.
Well, no, but I'm saying, it's like between where
Yeah.
damage and
We're not putting
tractor.
ring chains
I'll
on.
go this way slow.
Yeah, I mean, just
No, it ain't gonna be any different, Jeff, than it is with
with a dump truck.
dump truck. Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
Oh, yeah.
Same type of chain.
Yeah.
So
But
we're in
that-
agreement that
I
you're
said no,
gonna
you
try to
have to
sand
try
it more,
We're gonna try-
those hills?
We're gonna try to sand it more, he's gonna look into getting some chains, so if we get a snowstorm,
Yeah.
we can go up the grader and
Yeah,
at
that
least
was,
keep it, you know, I mean, the other thing that's killing us this year too, we have no snowbanks.
Right. Yep.
And, I mean, I just
If
came
you had a
back,
snowbank, you wouldn't be in the ditch.
right, I just came back from Essex the other night in a snowstorm with no snowbanks. And you couldn't even see the road. And you couldn't even judge where you are. I mean, so that's a disadvantage we've had this year because we don't, there's nothing there.
Right.
So, but listen, we're gonna, I know Joe and or Sam will work our best and do the best we can do to take care of you.
I believe that. Yeah, we're just frustrated because it's been an
I
ongoing thing,
understand.
but
I
I
mean-
appreciate everybody listening and.
Yep.
And Sunday, that would kind of caught me by surprise.
But you didn't do any of them that day.
Well, I called Bud out, we did Bigelow and him and Bomb. But I didn't realize they were freezing.
Right.
Until I got a phone call from the dispatcher saying. there was
Like
cracks off
the
road.
paved roads didn't get it either that morning.
Just a dirt road,
Wow.
all the
Yeah.
dirt roads were froze.
It was just those two.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Sheldon was slick.
yeah. But
Just living in the
Airport road, you couldn't stand up on
No, I had
Fountain.
smartened
No.
up.
Oh, really?
One
Is that
look
bad?
at it and
You're
said,
just living in the wrong part of town.
I don't even try it anymore.
It was just a freak show.
After last year,
Mm.
luckily Nate Standard saved me. And
Yep.
We tried to stay home, but he had to go out on Sunday morning and he was like, he called me, said, I'm not sure I'm coming back. It was bad everywhere. It was pretty bad, but Bigelow was really bad. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
move on, but, keep us posted, I mean,
I will.
I
Yeah.
know you will.
I thank you all for listening. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks for coming.
yeah,
Thank you. Any other public discussion?
Just a comment.
Yep.
The Fairhaven Goat Mayor was on television last night, not the goat himself, but the article was highlighted in Brain Games, the show, his new show.
Oh, yeah.
So are we getting any equal time for the other opponent?
For Sam?
I haven't seen Sam.
Sammy?
I've seen
Yeah, the shepherd?
So it was
Sure,
just
with our
a
politician.
discussion.
Yeah. He was in
But
there.
it was a little, I was surprised, I was watching it, it's like, wait, did they just, yeah, oh yeah, they did. So,
what show was it?
Brain Games.
Brain Games?
We got mentioned that there's an NPR, there's an NPR show, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but they were doing a show in London. And they were talking about, it's Money Games, is what, or Money something, Money, whatever, but it was about economics. And somehow they got talking about economics in small towns and how anything is possible. And then they said, well, they elected a goat in Fairhaven, Vermont. You know, so
I didn't see it.
on the stage in London.
You could believe it.
So. It's worked a lot of.
It's good publicity.
It's good publicity.
It is.
Fairhaven. I love it.
But we did have a shovel and a boom in there that night.
Didn't work.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Make sure you let
Thanks.
those other
Thanks,
people know.
I sure will. Yeah, I sure will. Thank you all.
We don't
The
maintain
lady called me today, was talking about
to be
Fairhaven.
their
I said, well,
spokespeople.
I didn't know
It's
that
just,
local.
they don't want to come in.
That's great. Thanks, I appreciate it.
And hey, any kind of retaliation you need to
I'm
let
glad
us
that we didn't, no, retaliation, come on. I'm glad that
We would never do
didn't
that.
fall on deaf ears. That's what I'm glad about. Thank you, Jim.
Mr. Durkey, did you notice what's behind my ear?
I'm gonna give you some of that.
Hearing aids. I don't have deaf ears.
Oh, really?
I have to pick
John
on
picked
it.
them up.
Maybe. That's what they meant.
I don't either, but I have selective hearing.
You have that problem too?
I don't have a problem.
Department head reports. Dan, you're up.
Had a water leak. Got that fixed.
I can't see
Gotta clean that up. Got two more that we gotta get ready to do.
Sam, project. We can't hear you on this side of the room.
Oh, sorry.
He was talking about a water leak.
Got a water leak, we fixed that one. Got two more we gotta address. Been doing maintenance, taking care of the roads,
Cutting trees.
cutting trees. Went up on the south tank. Got permission from Steve Wood to cut some of those trees, so, because the solar panel right now is not getting his trees are blocking it, the sun, so he let me clean some of that up around there, so, because it was gonna cost us some money to get different things in there, so this way it's gonna save us a little bit of money and make it work, so it's, Tom can tell how much water's in the tank. So, I guess that's about it.
Questions? Comments, Sam?
How many complaints you had on Pine Street?
On Pine Street, actually, I don't think I've had any.
Well, they're running so much traffic down Pine Street now, from the high school. And it's nothing, I don't know what, there's nothing we can do about it, but it's pounding that road.
Yeah.
Just pounding it apart.
Yeah.
And there's kids walking up and down the streets, and why they're sending all that traffic from the high school down that way is beyond me.
Yeah.
It's dangerous and somebody's gonna get hurt, but I don't know, I just wanna bring it to your attention, because there is some holes up there, and I'm sure somebody's gonna start complaining.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a whole lot you're gonna be able to do, because there's nothing there to hold it.
Yeah.
And there's too much traffic through there.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Joe today, I did a ride around and they're just coming back.
Yeah,
Long
everything,
chill,
just take away.
just
You know, I mean, it's,
this hole's patched, this one's open.
well, just like where you patch in South Main Street, you patch straight here, and 3 days later after the rain,
Another hole. Down further.
2 feet down the road,
Yeah.
no one came,
Yeah,
so.
we're gonna go get a load of coal patch. And
But I just wanted to bring that to, on Pine Street, because
Have you-
if you get complaints on it, there's not a heck of a lot you're gonna be able to do there. And they're just gonna have to live with it, I mean, that's all there is to it.
Did you notice how rough West Street's got since, I don't know, the frost is coming out and then it's
yeah, I don't
stuff?
know what that's all about, but it's definitely a little rougher than it was. But,
I think it's just frost moving. But it's, you know, we got so much different weather.
yeah, this is, well, down there the other day digging that, we're down surprised.
And I put the barricade back
In the
together
road.
and loaded it out
In
of
the
it.
road. Nothing.
What's the final solution for that leak? I mean, are we gonna, should we be looking at a different water line down there? Down through there?
Lord,
Willard?
Willard, no, actually the pipe was good.
well, it's 1.5 inch galvanized. You can't flush it at the end of it.
I know.
When we flush.
I mean, what happened is that it shut off.
Willard.
And if they had when they put the line down this side, they tapped into it, they should have pulled that out and done away with it. Because you couldn't shut it off if you wanted to. It had the wrong, it looked like a spigot off the house.
Well,
I don't know where it come from, but.
Somewhere.
I bet you that's not the last horror story you're ever gonna see, but.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what River Street's gonna be. I mean, that's,
Is that out by the trestle?
it's right there by the, where the sewer, they monitor the sewer, right there. So I got all that to work around, plus the water line. That'll be interesting.
I think that had a problem in this before.
Anything else for Shan?
I hope not, dude.
Okay. Town manager.
Okay. To follow up with a couple of questions from last week, somebody asked about the increases, or from the last meeting, library increases, from their request came from workers' comp. Their workers' comp went up. The person that insured them made some changes. It went up by $500, and they had some salary increases. So that's where your increase was there. Jay asked about water meters. We are currently at 788 replaced out of 911. We're at 86% complete.
They're doing very well.
Letters have gone out, so the last 2 billing cycles we've sent letters out. We put them on red and pink slips to get your attention. If you're not getting a slip, that means your meter has been replaced. We're not just blasting it out to everybody, it's only, we're selectively mailing.
Are we going to some places to check and see if they,
780.
like I know, they twice went down beyond me, they're in their visit.
Out of
There's
911.
nobody home, so they need back out. Nobody there, or?
We're reaching out to everybody, yeah. And, okay, and like Jay said, the guys are doing great. The guys in Bev, the scheduling is working out. They're just hammering away on these things. Oh, moving on, our wastewater, or our solid waste contract is up this year. I'll set up an executive session for the next meeting to talk about that. You have the option of extending for 2 years, but it's something I think we should do not in public. Town hall damage, we're still working with the engineer and the contractor. It looks like it's gonna be more than just let's put in a pillar. The gentleman that took a look at it said there's a legitimate crack in that beam, the carrier beam that runs north to south. So we're gonna have to get somebody in to look at it. I'm working with the insurance company right now to make payments on that. I'll keep you posted. Funny enough, I had a compliment on Bigelow Hill Road last week. I had a guy come in and said, you know what, the road's froze, you plowed it off, good job.
And that's the thing, if it freezes, I do plow it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm the one that's plowing.
Can't plow them hard.
I don't
You
put
can't,
You just can't plow them.
you can't, I mean, when you go up with a plow and tear a road up, all you're doing is
Yes.
add more expense next spring.
Yeah.
And
And you're plowing it off into the ditch, and if you don't go pull
Then you gotta
gravel
go
back
clean
up the
the ditch.
ditch, you've lost it.
And I had this bullet point in there because we were getting hammered so much on that. I know the guys have been dropping an astronomical amount of sand up there, and I don't know where this came from, but we're gonna do our best to rectify it. Bridge grants are done. One's submitted to the state for Adams Street Bridge. One is submitted to the state. The other is finished to the feds. I'm editing that. That will be submitted this week. I don't know if I told you guys, we did those tax sales, which you knew, 6 of them. Of the 6 properties, 5 people have redeemed, so we've managed to capture something like $20,000+ without taking people's land and without paying the lawyer, which I'm just fabulous. It's just great. Parade committee's doing a great job, really moving forward. Fairhaven Friday committee, we have a committee for it now. They're also doing a great
You got
job.
a program out.
And the program is out. The tasting is scheduled for August 28th, and we've already had 2 producers sign up. Smuggler's Notch is wavering, but I'm trying to get them here.
How about the cider place in Virgins? Reach out to them.
Oh, no?
No,
What's it called?
in Virgin, there's a hard cider place in Virgins that, they're pretty,
Is it woodchuck?
no. If my wife was here, she could have it.
That's a
Good
good
stuff, though.
I'll get you the name. They're pretty community oriented. I don't know if they'll come this far now, but they may.
Yeah, no, it's,
Actually, I think there's a local
so-
guy working there.
so this year they're doing tastings and you can buy bottles, but we're also doing a full pour, so if guys they like something, you can actually buy a drink instead of just getting this little tiny shot to tease you.
Yeah, but if you taste 5 or 6 of them, then just.
What's the possibilities of our own place being open by then?
They said May. I heard yesterday May, but I've heard,
That'd be great.
yeah, that would be, it'd be
That
great
would
to
be
have
the
them go. Yeah. And that's what I got for you. It was nice and quiet.
On that, for the weigh station, the scales down there, I talked to him this morning, and he's getting a quote ready for everything. Lights. So,
For what?
for the
The lights.
scales.
Yeah, lights and scales.
Okay with that?
So there's no more
Yeah.
yelling back and forth.
Great.
There'll be a stoplight and there'll be your weight. And you'll see your weight. It's not gonna, it's good, it'll just show you your actual weight, so they'll do the math in the shed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Everything will-
everything be the same, just gonna,
Yeah.
instead of them hollering to you on the loudspeaker,
So-
go
so-
ahead.
Yeah, no, right.
You're gonna
It'll
see,
be
you're gonna
red
see
or
a green light.
Cut and dry.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier. The thing makes so much noise, you can't understand it.
Not funny.
And then if they're talking in there, you hear everything they're talking about.
Want that.
Anything else for?
No, sir, that's it.
All right, let's move on. Old business. Updated personnel policy.
Yep, so in your packet, this was part of our parking lot, something we wanted to get done. In your packet is the updated personnel policy. I can't take credit for this. Glenn did the majority of the work.
Your team did some proofing and fixing too. It's good.
So-
Actually, I think it's pretty good.
I figured you guys would want another week to look at
I
it.
want to read through it closely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that leave the town wide open for all that stuff.
Like what?
This
I got some of the circles, but we get ready to talk about it.
This was one where Vermont League of City and Towns, this is the one they give out for towns to put a personnel policy, so it's been looked at through a legal eye pretty good. I went and also used our contract that we have with the Department of Public Works to make sure some language, so the highlighted areas you're gonna see is the language from our contracts in this personnel policy. And then I took the last personnel policy, it looked like it had a 1985 date on it of a table of contents, and matched it up to make sure things were coming over. Easier to edit than create, so we can go in and we can,
These people are union contract.
That's what the union contract says.
I know, but if we change the union contract, this is still in here. We go back on this. That's what it
You changed that at that time.
That's
is.
part
I
of
don't
the
think you gotta change, there's things you really gotta look at.
Jake, page 13.
Well, let's look at it, let's not
yep,
willy-nilly.
get your time to.
Let's,
This,
put some
and this
time.
is, you can get as much detail as you want. This is the boiled down version of when I started with the main document and left a lot of things and guidance and things highlighted where I thought you would have the most questions. But every one of these has guidance and everything above them that you go through when you write the thing. But we'll set, so it sounds like we'll set some time,
Yeah,
a half hour or so to.
Yeah, let's give ourselves some time with the next meeting or two meetings, maybe next two meetings, do a half hour each.
It's pretty dense.
We can start the second meeting. Instead of fourth, instead of the 11th, we just start on the 25th.
Why not?
Oh, I see, because you're gonna be,
I don't, right now, I don't think I'm gonna be here on the 11th, but I'm not extremely sure, but. And then we do the 25th and the first one in March.
the person would be on board too, so that.
It's not a bad idea either.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to put it up on the wall, so
Everyone can see what we're talking about. That was, he has an electronic.
That'd be a
We
good
do-
idea.
Yeah, no
We have
reason
a-
not to, yeah.
If I need to send another electronic version,
I got it.
yeah, I'm gonna say, because that's a good point. It'd be nice to have everyone be able to see.
Everybody can discuss this a little bit.
oh, otherwise my eyes just glaze over. I just
I used to be part of the,
can't follow the
I've
discussion.
had that problem.
That happens a lot here. Okay, so, this is tabled really for the 25th of, oh, I'm looking at the wrong way.
February 25th.
Yeah.
February 25th.
Yeah,
I
that gives us
won't,
plenty.
the only thing, I won't be here, that's the day after my surgeries, and so
Well, get-
I'll be on some really good medication at that time. So you
Yeah.
probably.
You might enjoy this meeting a lot more.
Oh, I'm sure, but, no.
If you do it the 25th, then you're gonna do over a couple meetings.
Yeah.
That means that this board
And
will
then
be starting it, and the next board will be.
So maybe we gotta wait until after the election.
Or get it
I don't know what the
started.
right
I mean-
answer is.
Listen, we've gone for so long.
It's gonna take a couple
without
meetings.
something.
It's going to take a few meetings.
We'll talk about it for a minute and then we'll talk about it again in another minute.
And
Make sure.
Schedule
Nice
it,
to have
and we
something
will
working on.
deal with it.
Yeah.
yeah.
Something to do.
Okay. Moving on. New business, certificate of highway mileage.
Yep, so we do this every year. Nothing changed this year. Next year I expect it to be different when we talk about Lewis Lane, which is also on the docket. The board needs to make a motion and then sign the packet or the page to send back to the state.
Motion to accept the certificate of mileage.
What is the mileage? Motion.
Same as last year, whatever it was.
Certificate of highway mileage, year ending February 10, 2020.
Total 36.405.
That's what I was thinking, probably that'd be in there.
Yep. There's a 36,
There's a second?
36. I'll second it.
What's the total mileage?
36,405.
0.405.
Yep.
But that's also class 4 roads.
That's also a state highway.
That's,
State highway. Yep.
yeah, that is class 1, 2, 3, and state highway.
No 4.
They didn't have 4 in there.
You don't get paid on
You don't get paid on 4.
10 miles.
We-
We used to always have 26.
Well, they added 10 miles of, here it says state highway is 10.540.
That would do it.
That's what puts you up there. The 26 is class 1, class 2, class 3,
And we picked out 3 other driveways.
and class,
Yeah, where's that?
we have a class 1 lane of .048 and a class 4 1.69.
On the bottom.
Building should start.
Yeah.
63.
So we made a motion.
Yeah.
I second it.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
So you just sign.
Yep.
I thought so.
What?
Something.
We're gonna talk about it.
My question is more like the policy on it already.
I went looking through our policy book, my cheat
All right.
sheet.
So we're talking about sump pumps.
He shook his head, yeah.
We do.
We do?
Yeah.
In the sewer.
You do have a policy.
Yeah, you're not supposed to hook up sump pumps.
Take them out.
But
Yes, there's a
we have an
policy.
ordinance.
It doesn't affect me because I'm
Ordinance.
sewer.
Okay, probably part of the sewer ordinance.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
I
is our existing policy?
You're not supposed to have sump pumps hooked up to our system.
Period.
Period. Yeah,
So-
we don't want just
What-
groundwater going into the wastewater system.
What is the discussion?
I don't know. I was told to put this on the agenda. I don't know. I was told to put this on the agenda.
Okay, John?
Do they?
Well,
Do
I had a incident, and that's all I'm
Is
gonna
that a
talk
copy of the
now,
policy?
where
I don't know.
the tap was off the sewer pipe and the water was running through the cellar into the town sewer.
That's a copy of the policy.
You want to
You
hand?
know,
So you hand a copy of the policy, tell them it's illegal, and they gotta stop doing it, or do we,
They're fixing it.
There's violation.
there's violations.
They're fixing it, it's gonna be there.
You want to send a note to everybody on River Street.
Oh, boy.
Last year when we talked those manhole covers, it was pure water.
That was where we did the study last year too, right? Didn't they go up and do a study on how much infiltration there was into that sewer line?
And I thought we
Oh, you
discussed
think it's
it when we were,
infiltration, or you think it's?
No, well, it's from people pumping.
Oh, okay.
It's clear water that's coming into down through the sewer line.
I thought when we were putting water in,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
got
yeah.
there were
Let's keep
sump pumps that people selling.
Wait, what?
I mean, I don't think the
What's
guys
the
do
question,
that.
John?
I thought when we were putting water meters in, there was no what was the water meter was a sump pump.
I don't believe that was ever discussed.
I don't think we should be,
Spying on people.
do the meter and walk away.
Yeah.
And if there's a problem with the water line, immediately what they're working on.
It would really erode trust in our town employees if we start spying at somebody's basement.
We need them to let us
And
in.
it's hard enough to
Yeah.
get someone to let us in. I mean, so it's
I
not,
think it'd be better just to, and I guess if we send a letter saying that we appreciate you guys not to.
Well, can't we-
Well, it
Use
would
your
be,
sump pump into.
Can't we put a notice back in the water bill when it goes out?
Yeah.
we could do that and just, and then
a reminder.
A reminder,
Yeah.
yep.
that it's illegal to,
Yeah.
sub pump, hook a sub pump into your sewer line.
Mine goes outdoors.
And then it taxes our infrastructure to do it.
Oh, it does.
It's a real burden on the sewer plant to put that much water through.
Yep, that's still,
Yeah, plain old
Why
water.
would you?
Thank you.
treating that box.
Perfect.
Goes out the pipe.
Any other questions?
Nope.
So we're gonna have some woodwork.
Send a notice out in the water bill.
Just a reminder.
Mhm.
Put it on, we can put it on the Facebook and everything else as well.
Gentle reminder.
Yes, gentle.
Yeah,
reminder.
not all the time.
Okay. We shall move on then. Anything in the parking lot that's jumping out at you guys? You already talked about Adams Street. Personnel policy. Lewis Lane, we will be talking about at some point.
It's coming up. We'll have to get it done this summer. That's, I think that's a multi-week, month process, because there's a hearing and you have to actually, the board has to go and see the road and.
We did it before.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to do a cord check to see how much gravel's on the road. Because it's gotta be, if we're taking over, we've gotta have,
State
gotta make
spec.
sure it's up to state specs, which I believe is 18 inches, right? So, I mean, that's something we'll have to look at to do, and make sure we get everything.
Yeah, we made a mistake.
I mean, they may have to do that and present it to us, I mean, but
Right.
it's gotta be done before we can even think
Yeah.
about taking it over.
One thing we should probably get to is springtime when
Bring him
the
in.
owner gets back, talk to him, they may not want to do this too. I mean, they may not, I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's a cost to him,
Yeah,
so
I know, and that's what I'm
you
thinking.
might not want to spend that kind of money.
He's made whatever profit he's gonna make on that,
Well, still
profit on that project.
Still 2 or 3 lots left
But
of it.
even if he decides he doesn't wanna do that, it's off, the burden's off us.
Right.
I mean, that way you say, all right, then fine, you gotta get somebody to come in there and put, because we can't do it anymore.
Right.
I mean, we made a commitment to finish this year out, and if they don't wanna do it, fine,
Where would you go to get gravel now?
gravel pit.
No, well, there isn't any.
Doran's,
Good start.
Doran's got gravel.
Well, I mean,
But
maybe
it doesn't have
our
to be
end of
gravel, it could be that
our end of it
shale, or
should
it could be whatever.
it, our end of it should
State
be,
wants us.
maybe do a test and get a cord and see where we're at.
Other than that, yeah.
And,
It's pretty rough. Yeah.
You know, so if it's to spec, it's much less of a costly event.
Right, yeah.
But either way, we gotta make, a decision's gotta be made early enough so they understand that we're not gonna be taking care of the road
Exactly.
next winter, if it comes to the point where they don't wanna do it.
Just a suggestion on the reserve cap, that if, before, you know, maybe you can give us a little guidance, direction, what you recommend before it comes in, so we have a starting place for our discussion.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll draft something up. I'll probably lean on Jenny pretty hard for that. Her and the auditor to see what they think in terms of what they're comfortable with, and
You
then
know what you got coming out in the next near future, and kind of what those projects, scope of a project, the size of things that come in and out of those.
Yeah,
You know, just think about it a little
once you
bit.
turn over a year.
Sometimes we don't have time to dive into it that deep. But if you start it, then we can have a nice discussion.
yes.
And while we're still talking parking lot, that mailbox replacement policy I saw there, because it's gonna tie into one of my roundtable things here, so I'm gonna, same way I might just jump, and it's, I'd wanna twofold, like, cause I wanna bring back up 191 Airport Road again, here, and at the same time volunteer to, depending on how our discussion goes here, but either way, volunteer to take a pass at a mailbox replacement policy based on what I've heard, and I'll take a pass at it and bring one in for folks if you want. So,
To reflect basically what we do now?
to what we discussed when
Okay.
when we, I have it as a roundtable item that we may not even have, so we don't have an agenda to discuss. But I just want to make sure I weigh in on that.
Anything else?
Nope.
Yeah, imagine that. Board roundtable, fine.
Yeah, I took a ride up there, that, we had a discussion at our last meeting about the, whether the person who owns the property replaces the mailbox, or whether the town replaces the mailbox. And the minutes, I read them, they did reflect that we said, hey, what the owner wanted was the town to replace it, and we said, no, that's not our policy. I'm going, okay. Reason I put it back here to revisit, I'm saying, geez, okay, new information to me. That same mailbox was knocked off by the prior Department of Public Works and got replaced the same day by the person who knocked it off. That's the information I've got. So I'm saying, no, we may have our since for the last 2 years, this is our policy, but I can understand why. And then I go back and say, we got to that decision fairly quick in my mind. For example, I've got someone who, like myself, has to look at a nail to wonder which end I want to hit. I'm not the most handiest person around to go replace a mailbox that's off. So I'd go out and have someone come in. I can guarantee you, if I went out and paid, if I gave someone like Ron Adams a call and says, I want you to take and fix the mailbox, I'm going to pay his hourly rate, I'm going to pay the mailbox. It's not the most cost-effective way in my mind versus saying it's going to cost probably $40 to $50 for a mailbox, and we've got some folks right in town that it would only cost us, because we're already working here for the town, $40 to $50 versus costing $100 or more to get it fixed. So I'm just going, okay, and then aside from that going, and I'm again just sitting as a homeowner, sitting there, everything's working fine, my mailbox is gone. Not from anything I did or anyone else, my mailbox is gone. And I'm just going, how would I want to be treated? And so I don't know, it seemed like we talked all over the place and ended up with two different things. We followed our practice, but I also heard at one time that we said, well, we'll just get the owner together with the town or with Sam, and they'll work it out. Seems like it's something that can be fixed very simply, but I didn't walk away. All I know is I drove up Airport Road and I wanted to see this mailbox that was hit. And I'm looking at a whole line of mailboxes, and I'm saying that mailbox might stick out 2 inches more than, a little bit more than the ones right in front of it. But all those mailboxes are pretty, this mailbox happens to be a fairly extra large one, so it just got nicked. So I'm going, we talked about moving the mailbox back and everything else. Well, that's maybe easier said than done. And I didn't want John in here having to have that discussion with the group. So I'm just throwing that, and we don't have to, it's roundtable, so if it's something that requires an agenda item, fine. But when I look, I still got a mailbox that's broken and that doesn't shut, sitting on Airport Road.
I don't have any problem either way. I just wanted to be a consistently applied policy.
Well, I think maybe the best thing to do is to go ahead and throw something out, put a policy.
That's why I'd like to draft, it's gone this long.
At that point, put it on the agenda.
It's gone this long, and it looks like even with the door not working, they're still able to get their mail. So we can, if it took us, like if maybe at the next meeting, if I.
All I'm gonna say is that the mail has been soaked beyond belief.
Okay, so it's not, it needs to be.
Obviously, this box isn't where it should be if it's been knocked down 2 or 3 times. and the other boxes around it hasn't been hit.
It's right in line
So,
with the
come
rest
on.
of them.
I mean, enough's enough. We've hashed this over and hashed this over and hashed it over. They've been offered a new mailbox. From what Joe tells me, the lady up there doesn't have a problem. She'll take your mailbox and have it over with. And we've hashed this over so many times, it's getting old.
So they bring in a bill for $150 and we say, well, because we don't have a policy, and we say, well, wait a minute, that's a $50 mailbox. Are we going, this argument's just going,
$150 to put on the mailbox.
All you do is
It's
put it on the
four
poles.
screws, 2 on each side, pull the screws out, put a mailbox on it, put the screw in it, and go.
That's Glenn's point.
that's, my
Yeah.
point is, then why the heck aren't we doing that as a town?
It's not gonna cost.
I would expect as a taxpayer,
I
this town to
sent it the
have it
next
done.
morning and said, I'll go buy a mailbox. And
So to Glenn's point, why don't we just put the mailbox on there? Like, mailboxes are cheap. Okay, I don't like that mailbox. Oh, okay, it comes loose. You messed up my mailbox next year. You gotta come fix my mailbox. Now all of a sudden, we're responsible for a dozen mailboxes, and it's not just gonna be a mailbox. It's gonna be, well, you wrecked my pole. I want a different pole. I want a different mailbox. That's the wrong mailbox. The flag's on the wrong side. I want a different color. Mine was painted and this one's not. You could see where this will just snowball into just another discussion, meeting after
They're
meeting.
not gonna
the
replace
next
that
thing you know,
pole.
you got fences that are right on the sidewalks or on the road. Next thing you know, we're gonna be replacing fences.
And if you are.
If the highway, if the state highway department comes down, hits your mailbox and knocks it off, what's done?
Tough.
I
I don't know the answer to that. I just don't know, I don't know what's
They
done.
don't. I
I
had
put
my
my-
mailbox knocked off.
They do
won't
not
touch it.
come back and
No.
come in.
I had
That's
to
You
your
put up your own
responsibility.
mailbox.
So we in Fairhaven, the decision makers here, will go knock a mailbox off and
won't
say
do
it's
it.
not our, I understand, stuff happens. No one does it on purpose. But then we come back and say, okay, how did the town treat me? I just listened to two people say that they're worried about that we would take it personally and not do something about it. Now, I can tell you it's because of things like this that some of our taxpayers are sitting back there going, wait a minute, am I really, is that how I want to be treated? Is that how I should be
We
treated
have more
in this
problems
nice
in town
small
with
town?
freaking mailboxes, believe me. That should be
What's-
addressed more than a mailbox, so.
Again, we still have an issue that came up with this mailbox, it was how many weeks ago? 5?
5 anyway.
About 5 weeks ago? And we're still sitting here with a broken mailbox on Airport Road. One of our taxpayers sitting there going, okay,
Yeah, but on the other hand, when they pick up their mail, they could take that lid and close it. They're just letting it hang there.
There's nothing left of the hinge on it.
The other side's hinged.
Just a piece, just hanging by one screw.
What does our policy
I
say?
mean, it's.
Or do we have-
we don't have a, see, the difference is we don't have a policy.
Okay, well, let's take it one step further. What, we already know what the state does, nothing. Let's take a look at what other towns feel, just ask and see if there's any kind of thing, consensus around here, and see what's going on. It would be nice to be a good neighbor, I get that, but it's also, your point's well taken, I think, that
I mean,
it's,
didn't Jim
what's,
get four?
just too hard to
Didn't he
catch
get
up with
those
the state?
Any what?
those
Yes,
four
that
from
we have,
different towns? But they're all the same.
so again, the homeowner never reached out to me. I called her after John told me that.
She
was
called
her.
you and left a note, you
That's-
found it on your pad. and she
Oh,
had
that's
called.
true. Okay, I lied. That's true. I did find out. So I reached out to the homeowner. I've never received a bill. And I don't,
Feels to me like there's a compromise here, like if we're worried about we can either pay up to a certain amount, or we'll replace with a standard mailbox, and just have two options, or do nothing, but whatever.
All they're looking for is another mailbox,
I'll buy them a mailbox.
like the one they got.
That's fine. Send my bill. Send them my bill.
That's
Send them the
what we
bill.
decided to do last time.
That's what we decided to do.
Hash the same thing all over.
If they buy a mailbox and put it on,
just
I will
wanted
pay
to
for it.
I think Glenn just wants to standardize the process.
Exactly, and we have two different things. We'll get a policy and we'll follow the policy once we get one in place, and I'll have one for you to look at the next meeting, if that's what you want. But we have a person that's been 5 weeks. And I'm just going, okay. What I've been able to find out is it's not that we're very consistent. We're probably very consistent since you got here, John. That means for 2 years. But there's still no policy. And the expectation was,
Well, I think Aaron was just popping out there and doing it. Without coming into the office.
Oh, I-
Nobody complained, he
I-
just wanted to fix it.
I believe-
That's what I'm gathering, I don't know that.
and you can sit back and say whether it's right, wrong, or you can do that in the policy, but
The mailbox I had this summer was a lot.
Yeah.
I called up the guys, they come out and shit fixed it.
Joe,
Nobody ever knew about it.
call them,
Fixed
tell
it.
them you're gonna buy a mailbox, get a bill on it, and this discussion is over with.
Well, I've already talked to her. I told her to send me the
it's
bill.
not just a mailbox. If you don't have the tools to fix it or anything, you call and get someone to install the mailbox. And are we gonna pay for the installation of the mailbox?
We'll just pay,
No,
so
we're
we're
not.
gonna paint it, and I get what they're coming.
Don't
How
worry
are you
about
gonna do that, Glenn? You break the town would go broke?
That's what I mean. That's why I'm saying we'd be further ahead to go replace the mailbox. Like,
Let's visit this one more time with a policy. In the meantime, let's take care of this particular problem.
All I want to do is, it's okay.
What are we doing? What's he?
He's gonna buy a mailbox,
Okay.
like we discussed 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Who's gonna buy the mailbox?
The town is.
The town will reimburse somebody for their mailbox, yes.
and you'll-
Yep, and then we'll have a policy to institute.
well, no, we got that one out of the way. I only have one other, and I'm glad.
One more
because,
thing.
And the other item I have, energy committee that we have. And I was looking back, just at some point, which would like a status of, it's been quite a while since the discussion about the hydro and what's happening. And the reason I'd like to see more on the energy committee is, I saw where Killington's looking at doing solar on top of municipal buildings for power and solar batteries. And I'm going, geez, there's other ways as we're trying to help get our taxes more manageable here, that maybe, is there a way we can take and decrease some of our energy costs, or electricity costs, by putting, like on, whether it's this complex here, on top of the Department of Public Works, on top, but somewhere. I know, I'm not, that's a bad example, because that's a building, that probably wouldn't hold it.
I got a good one. We've got a lot of flat land somewhere up on north side of town to make a good
Pretty
place.
cool looking.
Well, what people were saying,
That you
I've
could
been
park
telling
stuff
you.
under.
You put a new garage up and the whole roof could be all solar panels.
but what people were saying, and the Killing people are saying, no way did they want solar if you put it on the ground and they had to look at it. But if you put it on top of the roofs, they were just fine. I just think there's probably some opportunity for the town to cut their electricity bill and generate some energy that's going to help us keep our general tax rate low. There might be some opportunity. And I'd love to have the energy committee look at it. And they're putting proposals together and doing it. And it's a Vermont company that's doing it, that they're working with.
The batteries have opened some doors on where the solar wasn't feasible, to cover the, what's the term?
Storage.
It's the base though, that sets your rate.
That's all I have.
It's possible, and the energy committee hasn't done
Yeah.
much lately.
I can't think of it.
We're pretty much out of the running for the hydro.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
There was a court ruling a few months ago. It doesn't directly relate, it makes it more difficult for us.
With a re-permit, yeah.
Yeah. That one had to do with the free flow of the water, and we're not in that situation. But it's one of those things like, we don't wanna go, we need somebody to tell us that we're not in that situation before we go any farther, because everything else starts to cost money now. You know,
It'd be nice to have a
yeah,
step
it would,
plan.
and what we're trying to do, and we're trying to get somebody in the state to say, are we affected by this ruling with Morrisville, I think. And they have a reservoir that they were using, and they wanted to use it for hydro, and somebody said, no, it's not gonna happen, they got thrown out, they got shut down. We're not exactly the same set of circumstances, but it's enough to scare everybody. And we can't, you know, now we gotta find somebody to say yay or nay, and nobody wants to do it until, you know, you go through all the machinations and how much money do we wanna spend on court, which is none. So I don't know where we're at right now, but we're due to get going, you know, and it might be a good idea to look
Just
at that.
to give
solars,
something.
and maybe get a final, you know, ruling from the state, or I'm not even sure where we go from here, to be honest. It was pretty disappointing that happened probably November or so.
That's not something that like Wayne would take on.
It's not,
I know it's not exactly his.
Our engineer is really versed in that, and he was pretty disappointed by the ruling.
Okay.
So
He
that's
is
where,
still,
yeah, he's still.
Jay is still working on
Jay
it. Okay.
Valerian, yeah. He is still plugging away. He hasn't done anything, and obviously he hasn't sent us a bill or anything, but,
Nope.
he was waiting for that decision to, and it was not what he thought he was gonna get, or they were gonna get. So, but to get into the energy, you know, it doesn't, it makes sense for them to investigate that as well. And I agree with you. Put solar on a roof, it's a lot better than putting it in
I think we
somebody's
need to
field.
do more with solar than we ever would with water.
Yeah.
I know.
Well,
You gotta find a building to hold it. This one won't.
No, it won't.
No.
This one's-
No, but we could potentially take advantage of the other project going on, and take the savings.
yeah, we may end up being the only thing we can do. But, and I don't know.
If you think that other project's done.
Yeah, that's the problem is, you know, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
But and solar roof projects can happen on top of, they have parking carports, they put them on.
Yeah.
So even if you did it in small scale, down by the park where your charging station is or whatever, you put a
Make sure-
eight car
Yeah, we'd have to look.
port with solar on top.
I wanted to put one on the phone.
We can probably.
Him and I talked about putting a solar panel on the bus stop to run the lights in the park.
Oh, that's a good idea.
You should also.
I mean, it's worth looking at, all that stuff's worth looking at,
Definitely.
because
That's
that's easily done.
And with the energy credits the way they are, and I understand you can get some additional credits by using the Vermont-based
There's more out
company.
there for that now.
So, but anyway, that's all I have.
Joel, take this the wrong way. I got to fool around with some figures,
Okay,
so just bear with me.
sure.
Our heating oil for the town office,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about doing something different with the tank, you know?
Yep.
But based on 6,000 gallons for 6 months or 24 weeks, it figures out to 250 gallons a week.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about putting a 275 gallon tank in the cellar?
Mm.
So the little man's gonna be here every 4 days, keeping that full.
I don't know if we use that. Did we use that much fuel, John?
Yep.
I don't. Okay.
And my thing is that in the emergency funding, and I don't know what you have for grant money to do, take the tank out or anything else like that, but I take the tank out and put at least a 3,000 gallon tank back in.
In the ground?
Yep.
I don't think we wanna do that, Joe.
I'm telling the new tanks, Bob, are good.
John, wasn't it for 250 gallon tanks?
in the cellar.
In the cellar.
I
thought you were
thought
putting
they were
one.
375.
Or,
I thought it was three.
370.
375.
But
Right.
it's a little bit, it's about 1,000 gallons of storage.
It's about 1,000 gallons of
Well,
storage.
then you gotta have fill for each tank.
No, you don't.
I'll bring the board
I
some
think he's
information.
gonna link them together, but I
The way they
have no
pipe them together today, they link them together.
But I have no
Tank to
idea.
tank.
talking out of turn. But I don't think it's quite as bad as the 75.
Yeah, I'll bring some information, yeah.
Yeah, that would be, that's, at least they got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anything else. Everything else to me is going pretty good.
That's good news.
Me?
No.
Well, most of mine's
Skip
in
it.
later anyways, but, check on those chains for the grader, will you? See if there's a place where we can get some money for them. I believe it's a safety issue. We're gonna be able to take care of a problem up there. And also with changing the grader, there's a lot of other work we might be able to do with the grader. You know, we got a piece of equipment, let's utilize it. And if it's $1,800 to get chains, let's see what we can do about getting them.
Joe,
See if
could
there's
that,
someplace in the budget somewhere we can grab.
could that come out of our emergency funding for the change?
Out of these, there's, it's not literally, the DPW budget is not literally at 0, but I think it's at 81%. There's no operation budget for that.
I mean,
In your capital, in the capital reserve fund, though, I think there's $40,000, so the board could approve 1,800 to come out.
Let's get on that and see if we can't do it. I mean, it's gonna just make things a lot better. He can go up there with the grader, he can take care of all them dirt roads at the other end of town without being afraid of the grader going off the roof and got chains on it.
yeah.
And then they can come behind him and sand it and take care of it, and give these people a peace of mind.
Yep.
And the other thing, can you look at putting another light at the crossing by the bus stop?
Yeah.
Nighttime, you cannot see people standing on those corners.
Yeah.
And if there's something, either put a light where it shines across the or across the sidewalk or something. I mean, if somebody's standing right on the edge of the road, you do not see them.
On the bus stop side?
Well,
Either.
where they cross from from the restaurant across to the bus stop.
Yeah, the short.
That's a very blind spot, and I'm afraid somebody's gonna get hit.
Yeah, let me, I'll look into it. I'll get some prices.
Okay, that's all I got.
Weren't they coming through and putting new lights up there? Weren't the power company coming through and putting new lights up there?
Well, they just gotta light that crosswalk up a little better, because somebody's gonna get hurt.
One thing I've noticed that
You
some,
talked about that last meeting, I mean before, that they were coming through putting up.
new bulbs.
2 meetings ago.
New again?
They're changing, they got a different,
Change it to some, yeah.
they got a different bulb or something that they're changing.
It's got a different light pattern coming out of it.
So probably
If
just
you would
call
check
it
on
out.
that though, because
I will.
that's a safety.
I'll call the power company.
When are we doing Eva? When are we supposed to bring that? Okay, because I didn't.
Did you really? Nice job.
I did not.
We should do it at our next meeting.
What's that?
So you
If
need it
want the
like
paper
ASAP.
turned back.
You got
Today.
You can give it to me.
No, but you had to have them on today, right?
Yeah, perfect. Just count me out.
We believe you.
I missed it, it's okay. Joe, you're doing good.
Thanks, man.
I got nothing.
You certainly don't have an evaluation.
I do not. No, I do not.
Tough it up.
Anytime.
This will reflect in your paycheck.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Let the auditors know to cut it some.
Okay, I've got nothing. Bigelow Hill was.
At least everybody knows I wasn't there.
It's on tape.
Can't fall mud.
Financial report.
Checkbook, $1,219,578.72. Motion to pay the general fund warrant, $87,820.59.
Second.
And that's got $28,500 for the water truck,
Yep.
$9,000 for a wastewater study, I think, and Casella was specifically listed. Do we have a An extra pickup or something?
No, it was just,
a big number.
it was just the next highest number. I tried to give you guys the three highest.
7,000 to
Yeah.
57.
Oh, I did forget one thing.
Hold on, we got a motion on.
Yeah, I know.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
And motion to pay the payroll warrant, $30,380.45.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Beverly did a real good job of selling dump stickers here, so.
Oh, that's
now
right.
I'm just a lot excited.
Yeah.
What many she sell, did you? There were
30.
people in and out of here all day, I know that.
Something like 70 or so, or,
No, it was 39.
I'm just trying to get you going.
She said somebody came in and told her, I've never needed a dump sticker before. Why do I need one now? Oh, no.
That's like the guy that went through the stop sign, because he didn't have one, didn't see it or something. Up here, and didn't have it where he lived.
All right, let's go on. We need an executive session motion.
Motion to go into executive session for personnel.
For a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are officially in executive session.